every morning I take a walk and I pray. And I thank God for Lisa. And I'm like, where did she come from? Because I was not praying Lisa into my life. So I think, was it my mother praying for me? Because she's such a gift and such a treasure. Oh. And was it my mother, my sister, my friends? I've got a lot of friends that are in the ministry. Were they praying that she comes in my life, I get the right person? Because how the odds of two people who don't know each other meeting on the phone and getting together and falling in love and being so right for each other. I mean, 28 years, and I'm still so excited to see her. Yeah, if we're somewhere at church and I see her, I'm like, ooh, it's like she's a new girlfriend. You know? Like, oh, there she is. Oh.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of At Home with Emily, a podcast about creating a life you love. And love is what we are talking about all this month as we introduce you to 4 couples you should know. And some of them you may feel like you already do. With us today is Lisa Rose and her handsome husband, Randy. I should have started with beautiful Lisa Rose and her handsome husband, Randy. And I'm just thrilled that you guys are here. Lisa and Randy, I have known for at least, I can't even... 15 years, probably more.
Say, weren't you 15 when you came to work?
Yes, I was. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a newlywed when I came to KY3.
We got to see your wedding pictures, but the wedding was over by then.
Yeah, it was just right. I mean, a month or so, maybe 2 months before I started here and met you. And met Randy shortly thereafter, and you guys welcomed us in like family, and have always been grateful to you for that.
Well, sure.
And so I think for those of you who are watching us on YouTube or just listening, you know, with Lisa, what you see is what you get. And in the newsroom, we call her the mom in the newsroom. And
it's become grandma to some people.
Oh, no, that's not right.
The mother hen?
That's probably not good either.
Oh, okay.
But just that's really rare, actually, in the TV business.
I wouldn't know, Emily, because I've been to 2 TV stations.
Ever. Well, it is rare.
Yeah.
It is rare.
Well, that's
and Randy is your counterbalance. You know, I feel like how Ryan is for me.
Yes.
And they are just completely on the other side of the TV world. And it's great.
Except for a lot of episodes of Try Before You Buy with Ethan Foreheads back in the day.
Yeah, there's those. And you get pulled in for the holiday greetings. And now you get to be on Emily's podcast.
Well, what I remember about you is you like your steaks very well done. Very
Sorry,
well done.
Randy.
Which that is so foreign to anyone who grills.
Or eats steak.
Well done. I mean, burnt.
Yeah, sorry.
Still?
I live a sheltered life when it comes to beef. But, you know, Ryan lives for the both of us with his medium rare. So, but yeah, we've spent some time together over the years. And that was the one thing about leaving news was didn't get to have my touchstone every day in the makeup room.
Right. That was great.
That's where you talk about life.
Counseling each other.
That is where life happens.
Say, no, you can't do that. Knock you down off of a tower.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of Lisa-isms that I have carried with me.
Oh, that's sweet.
That you'd be surprised, things that you said a lot, and I share with others.
I do too, actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, how many years, Randy, now has it been
for
the
us?
Two of you?
We've known each other almost 28 years.
Yeah. Great. It's been a great 28
1997 is when we met.
The best years of your life?
That's what I
absolutely yes.
told you earlier, yes.
97, is that what you said?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have vague, foggy memories, but I feel like your wedding was it on TV or you had a picture?
Yeah, well, you know, I think we would do the same thing today if someone in the newsroom was getting married. They just had a photographer there at the church to take, you know, pictures and video.
Yeah.
I mean, KY3 did. And so it was really sweet. Later, of course, after we got back from our honeymoon, we got to see the video. It was on like the 5 o'clock news coming up. We were getting ready.
It was a big deal because everyone had known you. How long had you been here at that time?
Oh, you're making me do math.
Yeah.
Can you do that for me?
Well, it was 98,
I came
84,
over in 84, 24.
Over a decade on air here.
So
I've been there 41 years now. Can you believe that?
So the inverse of when you guys got married.
Oh,
that's kind of interesting.
We thought we were so old.
We did.
We were in our 30s, and we thought we were just ancient. We were in our 30s. That sounds like babies.
Now when I hear people in their 50s, I think, enjoy it. It's so young, and you have so much more energy in your 50s.
That's right.
Well, at that time, you were a career gal.
It's really interesting because you talk about a whole new era, but I had been praying since I was I can remember in college, one of my roommate's sisters announced she was getting married, and she was 26, and I thought to myself, wow, that's old.
I married before then.
She got married just in the nick of time. And there I was, because how you get sucked in to working, and it was a lot of hours.
The hours are very challenging, and all types of bosses came through over the years.
But I always intended to be married and have children, and so when I realized, okay, I'm getting into my 20s now, middle 20s, late 20s, and then I thought, I'm just praying, and I would make lists of what I wanted in a husband, and that's what I focused on through those years. In the time off that I had, and
long list, I guess.
Well, and I did. It was a good
obviously
list.
If it resulted in Randy,
and checked every box, But at any rate, that's where I was. I wanted to be married, but I also was really enjoying work, and
there's something that comes with that. Whenever you are a successful lady and you're working a lot of hours, it's probably hard to find someone and make that space.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time to date, but I've told Randy, I think the longest I ever dated someone from college until I met him was 9 months, and the last 6 months I was probably trying to break up. You know what I mean?
But you're just too nice.
Well,
so how did Randy, how did you come into this picture on your white horse, How did you ride in?
How did I ride in?
That's a good way to put it.
Sometimes we disagree on things, but I knew another person that worked at KY3, and I realized it was pretty easy to call up there. And so one day at noon, I think I was a little depressed. I've been divorced. I'd been single for over four to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I was feeling sorry for myself, and I had a long work period ahead of me. And I called up there and just to tell Lisa she was doing a good job. And
wow, that's
I did.
bold.
I just called and say, hey, I've been watching you for years. You're my mother's favorite. You're just doing a great job. And that's all it was.
Mm-hmm. But
she claimed, okay.
But the thing is Randy is such a great conversationalist. That,
I'm not shy.
We probably did not. I mean, we struck a conversation immediately. Yeah. Do you know this person? And I know this person. This person. I mean, it's just connected. And so we were on the phone for 10 or 15 minutes.
Well, yeah, a long time. I called. Hi, this is Randy Rose, and she's. How do I know? I'm just talking like
world friends.
And we hit it off. It was just so strange.
He hits it off with everybody.
And so I said, this is kind of where we disagree. But I assumed she was married and had a family. And I said, so how many, or what's your husband do? And she said, no, first I said, how many kids do you have? She said, I'm not married. Oh, I said, oh, well, what does your boyfriend do? She said, well, don't have a boyfriend.
I think it was surreptitiously interviewing me, don't you? See?
And I thought, okay.
Like I said, pretty suave there.
And I said, well, maybe we can have lunch sometime. And she says, well, I'm available Friday.
I was looking at my
calendar.
And
I'm like,
I can schedule that in.
I'm going to have to start showering and shaving again,
Yeah, and, so you were kind of down on yourself at that time.
And then she says,
and you took a chance.
And what did you say then?
I just said,
how do I know
that you're not a serial killer? And so
I said, how do you know? How do I know you're not a serial killer?
I want to tell you, I had never, that had happened periodically during my news years, and I never went out with anyone.
Yeah, and it's difficult to tell this story because it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
That a total stranger would call her and ask her to lunch.
And just in case anyone's listening to this, it doesn't work. This is the only time in the history of somebody calling the station that has ever worked.
This is it.
Because
no one else
truthfully, it happens on a regular basis, and they are usually not like Randy.
Yeah. This is different. So. I mean, I could rattle off several names who knew Randy at the station.
Right.
And he knew them.
And they were people you knew and trusted. And so you could do a little recognizance prior to Friday.
And one of her friends best friends from school was my supervisor.
Yeah.
When
I mean, there were so many connections.
Listen, Lisa knows how to do her homework.
Yes,
Oh, yes,
so
she does.
that's the one thing about being a news reporter. And you wish you had those skills in your younger years, even in college, that you gained those skills. So we know you did your homework, and it came out that he was not a serial killer.
He was not. He has behaved all of these years.
Okay.
But what was great is everybody was all in on this in the newsroom and across the station. So there was about a committee of people waiting when I got back from lunch.
Oh, because you were working dayside that day.
And everybody knew what I only dated intentionally. And so when I came back and they said, well, is he Mr. Right? And I said, well, I don't know that he's Mr. Right, but he's certainly Mr. Right now.
Oh.
Yeah, because I had 3 kids, 3 small kids.
And that kind of blew me away because...
And that's scary.
Yeah. But it turned out to be absolutely God sent. It did.
And so it was just a matter of, what, a year later?
Yeah. I will tell you that I've told Randy this many times, that I had never really felt like I was in love with anybody. And we met in April, and by Memorial Day, the last of June, it's really true. When you know, you know. And I knew that I was just madly in love. Kind of blew his sister away at the time because because of me, I just talk bluntly.
Yes.
And I said something to the effect, well, if we end up getting married, and she said, what?
Kind of blew my mother away, too, because I remember telling her before we even met, and I said, I have a luncheon date with Lisa Richardson.
Lisa Richardson.
And she said,
oh, yes.
My mom says, oh, is that some lady from Lebanon or who? I said, no, Lisa Richardson. You have a date with Lisa Richardson?
She was a big fan.
Yeah,
that was lovely.
she was a big fan.
That's neat.
And, and I thought, well, this will be a one-time deal. It'll be my...
So where'd you take her, Randy?
There was a restaurant at the bottom of the Plaza Towers called
at that time.
Aussies.
Fancy?
Aussies.
Middle of the road.
It was an Australian restaurant we met, and Lisa was late the first time.
Surprise.
And I thought I'd been stood up.
That's sad.
Sounds like I'm used to it. Maybe I was used to it. But and so I was so nervous. I'm just pacing around. I look out the window, and maybe that's her. Maybe she drives a truck. Maybe that. I bet she drives that. Look, no. Pretty soon this green Bonneville pulls up, and she gets out, and she opens the trunk, and I'm like, oh, what's she doing? Put her purse in the trunk. And anyway, she walks in, and I'm just like, and she walks in. She says, oh, are you Randy? I said, hi, I'm Randy. And we shook hands. And after that, I was so relaxed. That's the way she made me feel, so relaxed from the get-go.
Yes.
And we sat down, and we just, probably an hour and a half, we just sat there and talked. And she was so sweet. She was so very nice and was so interested, which is the way Lisa treats anyone she meets. She's always so interested in their life and is more interested in them than they are her, more so, because that's just the way she is.
Makes life a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and she's a
That
sweetheart,
way.
and I've always said she's more angel than human.
Oh,
and
listen to him.
But she really is. I mean, she just...
This is not new for me. I have heard Randy talk about you like this for years.
Yeah, but everyone does. She's such a darling
sweet, honey.
and so easy to love,
But, back to the kids kind of, him having 3 children kind of throwing me.
How old were the kids?
8, 10, and 12.
Wow.
And the 8-year-old still was young enough to where she liked to be babied. And so I got to hold her. And, we shared poison ivy together because I was holding her.
And you were the best parent they had.
Stop it. And it was just wonderful because I told Randy I had never been married, but I've been through 3 divorces with my 3 brothers at that time. And so there was an empathy there for him and a real attachment to those kids, And then, of course, I tell people today, I have 3 stepkids, but you don't have step-grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren now because of Randy and those 3 precious kids.
It's hard to think that that was so many years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
our oldest
that-
grandson's 17 now.
Wow.
You remember Baden?
Yes. That's hard to believe.
Yeah, and then we have a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, two granddaughters, 13 and 10.
And so it all played out a little bit different from how you planned for it.
Yes, I think
When
you
you
went
were
on that
younger. Mm-hmm.
ride with me, didn't you? Because I had really, or it may have been over by the time you arrived at KY3, but I really wanted to have children.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to say, of all of my kids, and there were 5 of us, you're the one who's supposed to have children. And so I had grown up with that, but I was 38. Randy was, a couple years younger. And he was done with having kids, but God bless him, he rolled with the punches, and we tried, and we did a couple of fertility treatments and stuff, and
Accepting that was a really
it was
hard thing at the time.
It was, and but God gives grace, and I'll tell you, I had heard a woman say that much earlier in my life when I thought, no way, He's not going to need to give grace to me because I have a plan. And I think it just comes with age too, because hormonally you reach a place, and of course the doctor told us we had reached a place to where Randy wasn't the problem, I was, because of my age. And so we just turned it over to the Lord and just focused on our lives, and suddenly I was not mourning the death of a dream there.
She was so at peace after
I really
after she
was.
found out she reached that age.
Yeah,
She was
when there was no chance.
she accepted it, and it was fine.
It was after fertility treatment. They
Life
could
went
tell
on,
you.
and
Something that you've mentioned to me a couple times over the years, Lisa, is that you feel that one of the reasons your marriage is so strong is because of how all of that went out. I mean, not just going through that difficulty together, but the fact that you guys have had so many years, just the two of you.
It's so true. Now, that's not to say that we didn't focus on the kids. Again, they were 8, 10, and 12.
Right.
So, we had quality time with them.
Yes.
But yes, there is no getting around it. And sometimes I almost feel guilty. I'm sorry I'm not letting you talk about this.
No, you're
But
fine.
I think we've agreed on this, and I want you to say something about it too, that being 38 and 36 at the time gave us such a different perspective as kids who are growing up together still. We had probably gotten to a place where our personalities were set, and we could kind of trust that. And you do look at life differently in your 30s and 40s
Oh,
and
yeah.
50s and 60s.
oh yeah, you think you're so smart when you're in your 30s, and then you get in your 40s, and you think, boy.
I've learned it all now.
No. And then when you're in your 50s, you're like, I can't believe I was so immature when I was in my 40s. And then now we're in our 60s, and like, wow, I can't believe when I was in my 50s I did that and said that,
I can't believe I thought I was so old
Every
back
decade.
then.
We're looking forward to our 90s, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We'll really be smart then.
Does that answer your question, though? Because I want to give
Yeah.
people who still have hope of having children because I know women much older than I was who were having children. And
Right.
but then also the hope of, if that's not God's plan for you, then it's going to be even better. Because who knows, having a child might have, split us apart.
And then there's
never
always dogs.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
you can't-
I asked him recently, because we've had 3 Shih Tzus lately. I mean, in the past 15 years, 16, 17 years.
at the same time, 3 at the same time.
Yeah, but that was an accident, honey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he has
It
been,
just jumped into the car and came home with her,
yeah, I know. It's just been very wonderful the way he has gone with the flow, and gone along with
But
me.
Lisa's such a nurturer, and to have these dogs, it gives her that,
Yeah.
lets her practice her nurturing.
And he had said that one time recently, and I said, well, do you think that because we only have one left, and she's 11. That's 77 years old. And I'm thinking out loud to him, do you think that we should just go ahead and get another one? He said, I know. Why don't you give me a 20-year break? Because he grew up on a dairy farm where they were livestock that lived outside.
Right.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't you have a dog that lived inside?
Yes, we have. Yes, we are inside dog people. But I identify with both of you. Our dog is the same way. It's hypoallergenic, so
Yeah.
that helps. But Randy, let's kind of go back to the early years with Lisa. and bringing her into a home with 3 children in their formative years, one about to become a teenager. And what was that transition like?
For everyone,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Lisa, the kind of person she is, it was an easy transition. She was probably more patient and loving than I was. When one would get sick, she's the one that would clean.
Because if I didn't,
Yeah.
he would have thrown up.
Jump right in.
And she was just a natural.
She jumped right in.
She's just a natural mother figure. The transition was easy. There were really no difficulties. I'm sure there were times she probably wondered, "What have I gotten into?"
Not at all.
Really?
We didn't have them enough for that. I mean,
Well,
we had
I've
the
had those
traditional.
thoughts. But no, you love your kids so much, and Lisa loves people, and she loved my kids like she was their mother, and it was just so amazing.
Yeah,
As far
it
as a
was so easy.
transition, it wasn't a hard transition. There's frustrating times when you have kids and they fight, amongst themselves.
And I would say, no, if you guys don't stop being mean to each other, I'm taking you to your dad at work. Then stop.
And
That's great.
but she always had such good ideas on, like, we've always made the kids work. We made them do chores, and my son was always kind of rebellious about that. And she would always have such good ideas on how to handle that. Well, let's have him
Do a more important
do
chore.
something, and he can be doing this while the girls are cleaning the table and putting in the dishwasher and all that. He can be out here, whatever we had him do,
Yeah.
which is something constructive that was helpful.
It worked for him.
And he wasn't having to be with them because and it just helped. She was so smart. She was way smarter than I am about solving little problems like that, little issues.
Well, what strikes me about your whole relationship is it was really Randy that took a chance.
On me?
Calling
Oh.
you cold. I mean,
'cause
you
I didn't
really had to
want-
put yourself out there.
I didn't want that. My plan wasn't to get remarried. I was done with marriage. I'd been done with that 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way. And every morning I take a walk and I pray, and I thank God for Lisa. And I'm like, where did she come from? Because I was not praying Lisa into my life. So I think, was it my mother praying for me? Because she's such a gift and such a treasure. And was it my mother, my sister, my friends? I've got a lot of friends that are in the ministry. Were they praying that she comes in my life, I get the right person? Because how the odds of 2 people who don't know each other meeting on the phone and getting together and falling in love and being so right for each other. I mean, 28 years, and I'm still so excited to see her.
Yeah,
If we're somewhere at church
Yeah.
and I see her, I'm like, ooh, it's like she's a new girlfriend. I'm like, oh, there she is. Oh.
And Emily, that might have to do with we didn't have the constant pull of kids because it's been such a big romance for 28 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Randy's also a romantic.
he is. He's very romantic. He is.
Well, Lisa's so easy to love. I mean,
And that part has been so easy. And that's not to say that we haven't had little ripples. You can imagine, through that time
Of course.
Yeah, that surgery didn't work. Can we do another one, please?
yeah, that was tough. That was tough times.
Yeah.
And we've had disagreements. We have very little in common. I mean, as
Isn't
far
that
as
interesting?
I'm an outdoors. I like to get out and do stuff. I like to hike and hunt, and
And
outside.
he loves vegetables.
I love
no
vegetables and
fast
fruits.
food,
She likes
junk food.
ice cream, and we go to
He's been a good example.
when we go to the grocery store. We divide and
separate.
conquer. We go 2 ways.
That's the only time we get separated.
She goes to the ice cream. I go to the produce. We joke about it.
Getting older has helped that, though. I can't
But-
have ice cream anymore.
And we've also kept our money separate,
Yeah.
which that's helped in that area. She makes the house payment,
Well,
and I
he does too much more than I do.
pay the other bills, and we've never fought over money. Now, I'm not saying that's for everyone,
No.
Yeah.
Especially young couples.
but we were older, and we were established. She had her dentist. She had her
Insurance.
whatever.
Yeah.
And
All
I
the things. And you both had your careers and a lot of life under your belt.
So
It was easy to keep it that way. And again, I don't think most marriage counselors would recommend that. You remember Mike and Carly Green, closest friends we ever had. And they were just so upset that we would, like fight over the bill at the restaurant or something.
Yeah, if I pay for something, she feels like she has to pay me back. I'm like, no, it's our money. Your money
I
is
was
mine.
38 when we met.
Mine is yours.
Yeah. Of
But she always feels like she has to pay me back. And, and I love doing stuff for her. I like to fill up her tank and I don't like for her to have to pump gas and stuff.
But again, I don't want to act like we're suggesting that's for everybody.
Right. Well, Lisa, when you hear Randy doting on you, what is that like for you 28 years later?
Well, it's amazing, I guess, but it's the only thing I know because I've had it for 28 years, never married before. I skipped over that first bad marriage and just got to the great one here. And I marvel at it, to tell you the truth, that it has, because he's as sincere as he can be,
Well,
and
she dotes
Lord
over me,
knows.
too. She
Yeah.
takes such good care of me. And always, if I have some little ailment or something, and I don't even think about it, she'll buy whatever I need without me even thinking about it. She doesn't forget little things like
Well,
that.
because he blows everything off as far as medicines. Got a headache? He lives with a headache.
That's why married people live longer. So what would be your takeaway on, how you've made it work? I mean, it's far enough now. We're coming up on 30 years.
Well,
that
let me tell you
can give a
this.
little advice.
One thing is we may be different in a lot of little things because I don't like to be outside with bugs. I want to be comfortable. I want to be warm or cool.
The least bit of discomfort.
I don't like that. But see, that may be part of what his he's just gracious to everybody as far as that's just who they are. But I do want to say that at base level, our values are almost identical. He grew up on a farm, and I lived on a farm for a little while with my folks, but we were both raised in very, very strict Christian homes. And I went to a Christian university. He went to a Christian university. And so our values are identical.
Aligned.
Now, I did tell him that I was marrying somebody. I think you were there when I told my mom I'm marrying somebody pretty liberal because he's Southern Baptist and we were fundamental Baptist. And the school I went to, the college I went to, you had to have a chaperone to go on a date. So I only had one date in college with a chaperone. But
Not worth it.
no, it wasn't. But anyway,
And
our
so-
values are so similar.
And you see that. You grew up very similar ways.
Oh, man.
But we were also, as far as what was your question?
My question was, what do you think has made it work?
Made it work. We both are givers, and like, if I see her unloading the dishwasher, I say, "Let me do that. You did that and not everyone's that way, or doing laundry or whatever.
I think if everybody could marry someone as giving, someone as selfless as you are, it'd be great.
But I think either one of us would be fine with doing all the work and the other one sitting and relaxing. I don't think I'd have any problem with her just sitting
I think he'd
there.
get tired of it.
Well,
But he won't find out. But
except for cleaning. She's the cleaner.
this part about being giver is a big part of it. But I would go back, and I think you might agree with this. I'm sure you would agree with it, that just having God at the center of your relationship.
Exactly.
That is everything.
And we didn't really start out that way.
No.
I mean, we went to church and all that, but the older
Got
we
into a
get,
small group.
talk about getting older. Yeah, we got in a small group with our church with other
Other
Christians.
couples who support
And you
you.
grow and you get.
We see their marriages because they're our age. They've been married a lot longer, so we had a lot of good examples about living a good married life. And I listen to, and I think you still do, listen to any advice that we can get to continue to make our relationship fresh. And that's what it feels like. It still feels, of course, I don't know what an old relationship would be like. That's all I know.
Well, you've been in it 28
know.
years,
We
so
hope it stays.
yeah. And so, and then that would be probably my last question is just, How do you keep your friendship there and fun, and the fact that you said that you still light up inside every time that you see Lisa? Like, how do
Same
you
here.
maintain that?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, we travel a lot.
Yeah, we travel.
We do road trips, and we, take 1 or 2 big trips a year, and we love that. We look forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you keep it going? I mean, I guess.
I don't know. I think as long as you get enough sleep.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't know. We
Because
used
he's a extreme morning person, and I'm.
Yeah, that's another way we're different. I'm a
He
morning.
has loved at me going to days though, and I
I bet.
transitioned really well
Mm-hmm.
to where I could get up at 8 o'clock. I know that's not early,
I'm up at 5 on weekends. I mean, I just cannot wait to get up. And
but that's a really good question she asked. How do we keep it going?
how do we keep going? Well, we just keep giving and serving and doing little things. It's not big things. It's little things. Every once in a while, Lisa will leave me a little love note or something, or if she knows if I like something, she'll make it, and just little surprises, that type of thing.
The little
thinking about-
things every day.
It's thinking about the other person.
Just
And that's habit.
We try not to, and I'm worse at this than she is. Putting each other down, or and we heard this when we had counseling before we got married.
Yeah.
I remember this guy, Vic Almain was his name. He had a book he'd written, and we had to be married in the church. We had to go through this counseling, and he said, "Don't ever put your spouse down, especially in front of other people. Just don't ever say anything like, well, if my wife could cook like that, that's just ugly." And I heard that, and I'm like, wow, because I'm a joker. I'm always joking around and stuff. And if I know something's going to hurt her feelings, whatever, I do not want to do that, And you remember stuff like that. And the counseling you get before you get married is so important, especially.
Yeah, the fact that you're still looking back on that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
when it's in a church setting, and when it's good people, good Christian people with good advice and stuff. For young couples, I would relish that. Listen to them and listen to what they say. Listen to their wisdom, their experience.
And if you're still looking for your other person, look for somebody who's kind, because that works in our relationship so well. And our counselor and another, because we did 2 or 3 different counseling sessions, and we wanted to get it right. And that guy said that we were going to kill each other with kindness.
Yeah, I've always said that if you were around us in our home, it's kind of sickening, actually, because we're so sweet to each other, so nice.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Because you don't see that everywhere.
No, we're just
every day.
naturally that
You don't
way,
see-
but it is a little sickening the way we.
It's not. Don't stop
Okay,
doing
it's
that.
not. It's
It's inspirational.
it works.
How about that?
It works.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Well, we
Well,
didn't
thanks
mean
for
to
having
share
me.
this much.
No,
Some of us have that effect on others, right, Lisa?
Yeah, when you've sat next to her for several years.
Well, it was a joy for me to have you both on. And I know that the kindness is probably the biggest takeaway that I'm taking from it. Just what words are you using with your spouse and the people that you care about? And I'm sure that our listeners will have lots of other takeaways as well. So thank you again.
Thank you.
thank you. Good to see you.
And thank you so much for joining us for this episode of At Home with Emily. We're so glad you were here with us today. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified when our next episode drops. We have one more couple to introduce you to next Wednesday. Also, head to AroundTheOzarks.com, sign up for our daily newsletter there so you don't miss a thing, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We'll see you next time.